The inspiration for this gathering is a story that appeared in the February issue of Fast Company that was titled, "Is the Tipping Point Toast?"
How does the airline network work? Well, if you're trying to get from a small airport in upstate New York, where I was going to graduate school in Ithaca, to the small town that I grew up in Australia, the first thing you do is get to the nearest big airport, to the nearest hub. Unlike Chicago O'Hare, which can handle millions of passengers a day, and thousands of flights a day, people don't scale. Right? There's only so many hours in a day, there's only so many people you can talk to, there's only so many friends.
So you can't know a million people,
You
basically.
can't know a million people. I mean, Tila Tequila has 1 million friends on MySpace.
Right, yeah. But she doesn't talk in a great length every day.
It's sort of obvious that they're not really her friends. We actually redid Milgram's experiment a few years ago.
With email.
Using email instead of physical packets. And we found that Milgram's results were very consistent with Milgram's, except for the one about the hubs.
To make sure I'm understanding you correctly, so when you ran these simulations, you've got one group where there's like influentials, and you're targeting ideas right at them to see if it can turn into a contagion of idea virus. You've got another one where you're just doing it randomly, so you're hitting some average Joes and you're hitting some influentials.
Yeah.
In both cases, you do actually get cascades that cover the entire site. You do get real idea viruses.
What we found, roughly speaking, is that the thing that you need in a network to trigger a large cascade is not highly influential people, but easily influenced people.
Right. Everyone else has to be influenceable.
And actually not just easily influenced people, but easily influenced people influencing other
easily influenceable people. Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so those are not the
easily
people
toppable dominoes.
Those are not the people who are going to show up in your survey. Move away from this idea of influence and think more about influenceability. If you've had sort of 6 weeks of soaking rain, you don't have to worry about a forest fire, right? But just because the conditions have been sort of marginal for a while doesn't mean that you're going to have a fire, and it doesn't mean that you know how big it's going to be if you get one.
But when it's really dry, you can throw a match anywhere.
No one would think that you could attribute the size of the really large forest fires to something about the match that started them. Right? Or something about the tree that was the first one to burn.
Right.
You can do a little bit better than just sort of look at generic, susceptibility. But in fact, there is a real structure in this network that is responsible for triggering these cascades. And what you would like to do is to be able to have better ways of locating that structure.
I can tell that you, sir, have never spent any time with any of these so-called hipsters and influencers. You don't know what you're talking about. I do know that these kids are down there, they are influencing and rippling out culture.
If you whatever device you have, whatever way you have of identifying these people, you go and do that 50 times in a row and it always works, then I think you have a causal story. Yeah. What if you do it 50 times and it works once out of those 50 times, and the other 49 times you waste your client's money?
I don't know. It's a hyhypothetical that we will never.
It's not a hypothetical at all. It's actually, I think what it reflects is that people leave their failures on the cutting room floor and they just extol the one success that they have.
The problem with the interventionist theory is it's incredibly vague. All it really says is two things: is that some people, a rare few, are more influential than others, and that through some mysterious process, they're able to transmit that influence to other people. That's it.
Are we to take away from that, then, Nike's $20 million to Tiger Woods is misspent?
Tiger Woods is Chicago O'Hare, right? But he's also expensive, right? So it's a different, that's really the mass media, right? I mean, we sort of think of, obviously Tiger Woods is an individual person, but his outsized influence is not him talking to his friends. The influence that you get from watching Oprah Winfrey on television is different from talking to your best friend about some product, which is different from reading about it on a blog. All of these things are different. And I think that, that if we actually sort of were just clarified what it is that we're actually saying when we say these things, we would actually start to make some progress.